Monday, August 17th, we back, baby, because the pads go on and training camp really begins. Yo, everybody, doing King Dingbat here. So, today we have come with the hell is that? It's a big-ass dog. Dallas still stinks. Yo, everybody, doing King Dingbat here, and it is about time. It is about time because really, so far in training camp, it's been more like OTAs, strength and conditioning. It's been all those kind of things. But tomorrow, Monday the 17th, the pads go on. The pads are finally going on and training camp will begin. And I'm pumped up about it, man. I'm excited because really it hasn't felt like training camp at all. But now it's going to start to get real. Some of the media is going to be able to go out and watch, and we're going to see and hear different things about different guys. And I just want to kind of go over some of the things that I'm very excited to watch in training camp and what I'll be watching closely, okay? First thing, all the receivers. All the receivers are probably the number one thing I want to watch because I am so excited about these young wide receivers, starting with Reagor, okay? Then you add Hightower, Watkins. I believe those three guys are going to make an impact on this team this year. So, having those guys in training camp, it's going to be very interesting to see how they do, who impresses, who stands out. And I said in my previous video, watch out for Robert Davis, okay? He's a little sleeper, somebody to come out of nowhere and make it difficult for the Eagles. And then, of course, you want to see, is Desean Jackson healthy? Is he ready to go? From everything we hear, he looks great. I want to see him in pads. I want to see it on pads, how he looks. Is Arcega-Whiteside actually improving? Is he gotten better in the offseason? Is he healthy? Does he impress? He's a second-round pick. We should expect a lot for him, and unfortunately we don't. But we need to. So how's he going to look? What's up with Alshon Jeffrey? Is he going to be healthy sooner rather than later? I mean, there's a lot of questions at the wide receiver position, but there's a lot of things at the wide receiver position to get excited about. I want to see what happens. I want to see how Reagor's chemistry with Carson is. I want to see how these young receivers pan out, and we're going to start to hear some of it and learn about some of it now with training camp, really getting into training camp. Another position I'm very curious to watch, okay? Of course, my eyes are going to be on Darius Slay. We got him, and he's a big acquisition, maybe the biggest acquisition this offseason. I'm going to be watching him closely, but even closer, I want to know who's going to win that other starting position on the other side. Is it going to be Avonte Maddox? Is it going to be Sidney Jones? Who's going to win that starting job? And when those pads come on, they get out there practicing, it starts. The battle starts. And I don't know how it's going to go. If I had to guess, and if I had to put money on it, I would say Avonte Maddox is going to win that starting job. But we don't know. I hope they both look great, play great, make it as hard as possible for the coaches. That's the best case scenario. But Avonte Maddox versus Sidney Jones is got to be the number two thing that I'm going to be really honing in on during training camp as we get into, the pads go on, and then eventually they have hitting practices and things like that. I'm going to be watching those two guys very closely. Another player that you have to keep an eye on is Andre Dillard. Andre Dillard is your starting left tackle. He had to get stronger this offseason. He had to kind of regroup. And we're going to see how he comes in, how he looks, what kind of steps he made. We need him to be that starting left tackle. I don't want a position where he's not any good and we have to move Jason Peters back to that left tackle position because that's a wasted first-round pick. He's a first-round pick. He needs to start, and he needs to be good. He needs to be dominant. He needs to protect the North Dakota Assassin. It has to be that way. So I'm very curious, very interested in seeing how Andre Dillard is going to look on the field because I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, but I'm hoping that he's really, really improved. this offseason. Hopefully he's a lot stronger and he's ready to go. I think he got a little bit slighted last year because they had put him at left tackle a little bit. He looked okay. And then they tried to switch him to right tackle when Lane Johnson got hurt, and it totally screwed him up. Totally screwed him up. So hopefully his head's clear. He's gotten stronger like they said, and he comes out and he looks great. This is what we need. These are the kind of things we need to happen for this team to be successful. He's got to pan out. He has to pan out. Another group, a position group that I'm very curious about is the linebackers. I mean, we really have no veteran linebackers on our team. We really don't. And I don't know how it's going to pan out. I really don't. I think TJ Edwards will be interesting because I expect him to make a big impact and a big jump up. So I'm going to be watching him closely. Then you got guys like Duke Riley. I mean, can we really count on him? Nate Gary. I just think he's too small. I think we know what we get. But then you have guys like Sean Bradley, Davion Taylor. I want to see how these guys pan out. Will these guys step up? Will somebody step up at the linebacking position and really show us something? It's going to be very curious. Another interesting position battle to watch. Another one is I'm going to be looking at this defensive end spot because I think Derek Barnett is the key to this defense. He's the key to this defense. I think your secondary is much better. I think your linebackers, you can survive as long as your defensive line is dominant. Now, with Fletcher Cox in the middle, Javon Hargrave in the middle, I think that these ends have to be better. I mean, I think Brandon Graham will give you what he gives you. But I really think Derek Barnett has to be a double-digit guy, and I want to hear at camp that he looks fantastic, that he has more than one move to get to the quarterback, that he's ready to go, that he's healthy, and that he's going to be a force. This is a very important thing for me regarding the defense. To me, this is the ultimate. This is what's going to make or break this defense, because if he's dominant, if he's a double-digit sack guy, and that line is dominant, everywhere else on defense is going to be good. So that's another area I'll be watching. Plus, I want to see, can Josh Sweat take the next step? I thought he came on late last year. I think he's another guy that could be an impact. So I'm going to be watching that very, very, very closely, okay? It's going to be in a very important position. It is. And of course, I want to see like guys like Kavon Wallace and just all these rookies, how they perform. It's always good to draft a rookie that comes in and makes a pretty fast impact. But we're going to have to see. It's going to be very hard with no OTAs, no real mini camps, although they've had, a slight version the last few weeks. It doesn't really count, okay? It's going to be an interesting training camp. I can't wait. Wish there was preseason. Think I said that in my last video, but we'll find out. In the meantime, the Eagles, they got to stay somewhat healthy. Hopefully, we're past this, injury thing and this injury curse that we seem to have every year, starting in training camp. Then it just goes right into the season. Hopefully, we'll be able to avoid those things. It's going to be interesting, man. Pads come out tomorrow. I'm excited. You should definitely be too. And let me know in the comment section, what are you most excited to watch? What position are you really looking at in training camp? I also should mention that I am very curious about Jalen Hurts. I didn't mention him, and I do think he'll be the third string quarterback, but I want to see if he's impressive. I want to see what people think of him, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. So I'll be watching him too. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I would definitely like to know. And with that said, take care, talk to you later, and don't be a dingbat.